continuing with Ron's Hard Rock and Metal Tales. And so we're going to do the next part, the next phase. So we're in 1979, 81, 79 to 81, let's say there. So anyway, so when last we spoke, it was me and my friend Corey White, and we went to the filming of Foxes, which the band Angel was appearing in. So the filming was done in 1979, and the film came out in 1980. And you might be familiar with it. It was I think it was Marie Curie, the singer from Runaways, and Jodie Foster. Actually, quite a good film. Beginning of the 80s, really kind of captured the SoCal high school vibe. In any event, so we went to that. And then after that, I got to go to my first concert by myself, Queen Jazz Tour at the Pabley's Forum in Inglewood, which was super cool. So then let's say I'm 15. Okay, so the next year I'm 16. Yeah, we have a little glitch, unfortunately, because, you know, it's puberty and high school and all of that, and things aren't necessarily going the way they should go. So my mom was dealing with my younger sister, who was, I think, what was it? It was 11 years age difference. So trying to deal with me, teenager, teenage young man in puberty, and then trying to deal with my younger sister, who was, I think she was still a toddler. You know, it was a bit too much. My mom couldn't really handle it. Or if not a toddler, you know, still young school kid, whatever, first, second grade. So, and of course, you know, we butted heads. And so my mom decided, hey, maybe it's a better idea if I go live with my grandmother in Pasadena, which is actually where I'm from originally. So did that. Went to Pasadena, and to finish off the second half of my junior year in high school, junior being 11th grade. So half of my junior year, and then my senior year. So I was there in Pasadena for a year and a half. As far as music and stuff like that, not a lot happened. I did go there with a guitar. I had a, whatever this brand was from Japan. I don't know if it was CI or IC. Some of you may be familiar with it. It had a pearloid inlay logo on the headstock with the letter C and the letter I. I don't know if it was CI or IC. Who knows? Who knows? Please put something in the comments. In any event, it was a Les Paul copy. Pretty cheesy, as a matter of fact, because it had the infamous first nut, first nut, and I say that because the first fret and the nut were together. Horror story. Anybody who's ever bought a guitar that had that, that's just death. It'll never stay in tune. Intonation is just a disaster. But that's the guitar I had, so that's the guitar I went with. So there I was in Pasadena. You know, Pasadena. Home of Van Halen, home of Armored Saint. Just wasn't much happening for me musically because there were, you know, I didn't know anybody. All my friends who played or who would begin playing were back in LA or Inglewood. So I was just kind of, you know, young man alone, stranger in a strange land, whatever. Even though I was born there, but, you know, I didn't grow up there. You know, parents divorced when I was 4. Mom moved to Los Angeles. My dad, I think he went up north, so whatever. Didn't spend much time there. Grandmother was there living with my cousin. Grandfather had passed away, unfortunately, so he wasn't there. So I was the only guy in the house, and I was, you bet they ganged up on me as a teenager. My grandmother, she wouldn't even give me keys to the house. And you know why? Because she knew I would have brought girls in there. There's no way I wouldn't have, but be that as it may. The one cool thing was I really got into listening to a lot of new music, and there was some great music that came out those years, 80, 81. You know, Rush, I think Permanent Waves came out, and Van Halen, Fair Warning, and also Women and Children First, which preceded Fair Warning. And that's when UFO put out No Place to Run after they booted Schenker because he just completely lost himself in his drug and alcohol addiction, unfortunately. And so Paul Chapman came in, joined the band. So I was listening to a lot of music, and the radio was great. Plus, 1980, 81, man, Ozzy, Blizzard of Oz, you know, it was just great, dude. You know, just fantastic, great music coming out at that time. I think Genesis put out Duke. So there was some cool music coming. Oh yeah, Pretenders, their first album. Yeah, you know, just great music. So I was more focused on listening to music instead of going and seeing it live, going to concerts. Yeah, I missed that. As a matter of fact, I think when I first moved over there, I went and I picked up a Los Angeles Times from the local newsstand, and I went through the Sunday calendar section, and there was just some great concerts, and I just knew there's just no way, man. There's no way I could have done it, because I would have had to have somebody drive me from Pasadena to the venue, or drive me from Pasadena to my mom's house, and then somehow get to the venue, and it just wasn't worth it. Not at age 16, dude. I just, you know, I wasn't driving yet, so it was impossible. So I was pretty much homebound. I was playing that Les Paul copy, and I kind of hated it because it wouldn't stay in tune for any, it just wouldn't. And so I was complaining about it, and when I went to visit for, I think it was holiday, whatever it was, Christmas or whatever it was. So I went back to LA to visit. I told him, I said, yeah, this guitar is just not working out. And I said, can I borrow the acoustic? Because she had a Yamaha acoustic. It was a classical guitar. They're like, yeah, well, you can take that one, because, you know, no one's using it. I said, okay, fine. So I took that guitar back with me to Pasadena. Had nylon strings on it. I was like, yeah, this isn't really the gig. So I went to the local music store out there. I think it was called Sound Chamber. Yeah, no longer exists. It was a cool music store, though. They had some cool stuff. And the guy who ran it was actually really cool. So I went over there, and I bought a set of, I don't know what it was, probably just some Ernie Ball or whatever, and popped those on there. It was ridiculous. And of course, because, you know, if you put steel strings on the plastic cylinders of a classical guitar, they're not designed for that, and you know, they promptly started cutting into the plastic. But I didn't care, you know, and so I was playing that guitar mainly, and that actually helped me build my chops quite well, because I don't know what gauge he gave me. I think it was 10s, because he said, well, if this is a classical guitar, you should play with some strings that are slightly heavier than what you would put on an electric. So I put the 10s on there, I guess, and you know, I was playing that, and I think I had some music book, and I was, you know, learning chords and trying to develop beyond what I'd learned at that point. So yeah, there just wasn't much happening in Pasadena. But after graduation, so let's fast forward. So I graduated from high school and moved back to LA, moved back into my mom's house. And by then, things had stabilized. I think my sister was in school at that point, so it wasn't so much of a big deal, me being there. Plus, I had already graduated, and I matured a great deal. You know, I was already 17. You know, and the first thing I started doing was, you know, I was like, well, you know, I need to learn how to drive. So she's like, yeah, that's true, you do, because I'm not going to be, you know, taxing you around and ferrying you around. My mom didn't mince words, dude. Yeah, may she rest in peace. Anyway, so, you know, right off to driver's lessons. So I started taking driver's lessons, California driving school back then. I don't even know if they still exist. So I'm driving, you know, I got my license at 17. I was like, yeah, you know, all my friends, hey, you back, man? Oh, you can drive, yeah. So I was driving my mom's huge Ford Granada, 2-door with the 352 engine, man. It was like a tank, solid steel. And so I was back. So now then I started, okay, so there's a calendar section. I'm like, yeah, okay, this is cool, but this is only telling me about concerts. I want to see some clubs. So I got back in touch with my friend Corey. I was like, hey, dude, what's going on? What's going on with live music? He's like, yeah, well, man, there's all kinds of great bands and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay. So I went by his house one day, and we were just hanging out. He's like, yeah, dude, you got to hear this. So he played me Iron Maiden. This is the first time I ever heard Iron Maiden. I'd never heard of them before. And he played me, it was the Killers album. And I was just like, what the fuck is this? Dude, I literally changed my life in that moment. It was... I was just like, what? Blew me completely away. And because Corey, man, he was always, really up to date on the latest and greatest in metal. And I was like, what else you got, dude? What else? What because he had turned me on to Scorpions with Uli, because I'd never heard that music. I was into UFO, because that's how we met when we were in middle school, and we shared that in common. And he's like, yeah, but have you heard the Scorpions? I was like, no, I never heard the Scorpions. He's like, yeah, well, that was Michael Schenker's original band before he left and joined UFO, went to England. I was like, really? So he's like, yeah, you gotta go. So he let me hear some Scorpions, and I was just like, whoa, dude. With Uli, Polar Nights, Dark Lady, Virgin Killer. I was just, and again, I was like, what the fuck? So I was like, dude, I gotta go some shows, man. Some shows, gig. He's like, well, my band's playing. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, by now, he's graduated from high school, man. He's all, he's been working out with the weights, and he's all muscular, still skinny, but muscular. Still got the long white hair, but he looks full on rock star vibe. It's like, yeah, we got a new band. It's called Alliance. So you should come down and check us out, support us. I was like, yeah, dude, I'm there. So where are you guys playing? Oh, we're playing Troubadour in Hollywood. I said, okay, I'm there. So I asked him, I said, well, dude, how much is the ticket? So don't worry about it, man. I'll put you on the list. You can bring one person. I said, okay. So I forgot who I called up and said, hey, man, Corey White, he's playing at with his band, the Troubadour band called Alliance. Can't remember who I went with, but anyway, it was the two of us. And we walked in there, and we were the only black guys in there. It was pretty funny. Because you walk in, even though, we're wearing our heavy metal regalia, I had my long hair and my tight jeans and whatever it was, But of course, you walk in there and all the heads go. That doesn't happen nowadays, but it was just funny, it's just, back then, because, that's just how it was. But whatever. But, people were cool. They, and what was cool is I walked up and said, you're on the guest list. And the guy at the door, he's all, oh, yeah, okay, Ron, yeah, all right, +1, yeah, all right, go ahead. Stamp, and, because I think that was 81, so I wasn't even 18 yet, wasn't going to be 18 till next year. So, but anyway, yeah, went in there, and they started playing. I was like, wow, this is cool. He was on bass, and there was this guy named Mark on lead vocal, playing guitar, lead vocal, lead guitar, and then they had a rhythm guitar player, and then the drummer. Drummer had this huge white kit with double bass, and the guitar players, each of them had a Marshall stack, and I was just like, what the fuck? And I was like, dude, I gotta do that, and they were playing. The music was, it was kind of middle of the road, hard rock metal, wasn't really anything to write home about. It was all right. It was cool, but just the vibe, just the experience. That's what was cool. And so then I realized, okay, I got to start going to local clubs. But how do I find out who's playing at local clubs? I couldn't always go run into Corey where that wouldn't make any sense. So just by chance, as we're leaving after the gig, saw Corey, said, man, that was cool, dude. Yeah, invite us anytime you guys are playing, man. I'm there. I'll tell friends. And it's funny, as a matter of fact, they had some lineup changes, and they had to change the band name because apparently there was another band that had already trademarked the name Alliance, so they had to change their name to Ally. And they had a new drummer, and they ditched the rhythm guitar player. So it was Corey, this guy Mark, this drummer named Gilbert Ayala, who actually ended up being my drummer later on, but that'll come in an installment later on in my Rockin' Tales. And then I brought the whole, all the, the Inglewood black rock and roller metal dudes. And that was fun because it was this pack of about 6 black dudes walking in. And I guess they must have thought we were a gang. Because we walked in there, man, leather jackets and all of that. And, people were like, oh, what is it? But it was cool. As a matter of fact, I think one of the guys, he got some chick's phone number, so whatever. Anyway, but hey, we came to support my friend, man, so it was cool. And then saw some other friends from high school that I hadn't seen in a while. But as I was walking out from the first gig, from the Alliance gig, there was a big stack of handout papers, just local papers or something like that. I looked and I was like, BAM. I said, BAM, what's that? So I grabbed that, and I think I asked one of the waitresses, I said, what's that? She's like, that's BAM. I said, what's in here? I said, oh, well, that, it has a calendar, local concerts, this and that, articles on music and bands. And, oh, I'm sorry, took that. She's like, yeah, and if you want another one with a lot of information and probably even more better club listings, get LA Weekly. I was like, oh, there was LA Weekly. So I grabbed those. So I took BAM and LA Weekly home, opened up a whole new world, man. All the clubs, virtually every single club playing whatever kind of music was at least in LA Weekly. BAM was more focused on rock, but same difference. So it was every club in there, man. It was all the clubs that used to be around, everything on the Strip. So of course the Whiskey, the Roxy, of course the Troubadour. Unfortunately, Starwood had already closed down, but there were still other clubs. There was Madame Long's West. There was the Music Machine in West LA on Pico. There was Club 88, which was still doing punk at that time, but was slowly shifting towards more rock stuff. There was Al's Bar, downtown, famous punk club, and all points in between. And the ultimate of ultimate, the metal hard rock club to go see bands in the San Fernando Valley, the Country Club, whether it was, because at one point it was Wolf and Rissmiller's Country Club, then it became Rissmiller's, and they dropped Country Club, and then it became the Country Club of Reseda, whatever. That was the place, man. I've seen so many epic gigs there. That was the, because it was big. I think it could take, capacity was like 700-800. And they had a big stage, and they had a nice floor in front of the stage, and then they had behind that with metal guardrails, they had the sets of tables, and then behind that they had like a little walkway, and then they had another set of tables, and then upstairs they had a balcony area, and then they had they had the kitchen, and they had 2 bars. They had a bar in the lobby, and then they had a bar inside once you got inside the theater area. And the Country Club, that was the spot. Don't know what's there now. If I had the money, I'd buy it. And I'd have live music being played there again, but I don't know what's going on with it. I don't know if they tore it down or what. It's really tragic. That was the coolest place in San Fernando Valley to go see. But anyway, so now I had access to local music, live local music. And I ate it up, dude. I was just like, okay, who am I going to go see? Because the thing was, budget was limited because obviously I'm just out of high school. I'm going to community college. Yeah, I wasn't really so much into it because I actually wanted to go to MI, but I'll address that in the next installment, as well as the first gigs at the Whiskey A Go Go and the Roxy, and who I actually saw for the first time at those shows. So anyway, yeah. So Ron Lydian out, and thanks for watching. Keep rocking. Don't forget, if you enjoy this, like it. If you enjoy more of the content, please subscribe. And you can also see me over there at Instagram. Ron Lydian 2 is the handle over there at Instagram. All right. Hope to see you soon.